All right, that was really good. So let's jump right into the next one. I'd like to invite up on stage Patrik Sallner. Patrik joined MariaDB Corporation as the CEO in 2012. Over the past years, prior to joining MariaDB, Patrik was running the content cloud business at Finnish antivirus company F-Secure. Patrik has a long background with Nokia, and he had various management positions in mobile phone product development, strategy, and innovation. Patrik has an MSc degree in technology management from Helsinki University of Technology, as well as an MBA from the Wharton School of Business at Pennsylvania. Please welcome Patrik Sallner.
Hi, everybody. So, pretty exciting opening to the morning. And I want to follow now on the opening that Stefan made regarding collaboration. What we were discussing previously was really on the code level collaboration. But if you look at the industry with the explosion of data that all companies need to manage, there's quite a challenge for organizations to deal with all of this. So I think 451 Research have put together quite an interesting map. The analogy to a subway map, I think, is quite poignant. If you look at all the different companies that are in there, sorry about the font problems here, but you can identify all the different companies, all the database companies, the storage engine companies, whether it's NoSQL or SQL, so many different ones. Now imagine you as a traveler trying to get from point A to point B in that subway system. That's sort of, I guess, like many data management professionals feel like with all these vendors proposing their solutions to all kinds of problems. There's an amazing amount of innovation out there. For any given problem, there are probably several different solutions, but it is very difficult for a user to actually choose the right technologies for their needs. And as we just heard in the previous presentation, there are initiatives to enable a more efficient use of the work that's going in now, so that more the code can be collaboratively compiled without having to rewrite a lot of the same things in different environments. So what I wanted to touch on today is a view on how open source can help to address these issues from a user point of view as well. At MariaDB, we fundamentally feel that open source will be a solution to many of the data management problems because it's a superior way to address the complexity in data management. You have innovation coming from a much broader group of people. By collaborating, you can more effectively bring that together than instead having many different organizations addressing the problems in isolation. And you can ensure interoperability between many different technologies. So that can be in the form of licenses, as we heard from the previous presentation. It can be in the form of interoperability between different standards. And in data management, it's essential to be able to access data lying in different environments. More and more governments around the world are now pursuing open data access initiatives to enable both companies and individuals to access the wealth of different data that is generated in different government and municipal environments. But to do that successfully requires interoperability. And that we feel can best happen in an environment of open source software. So what I wanted to do today is just touch on some of the ways in which MariaDB is leveraging collaboration and contributions from different environments and how those contributions have shaped MariaDB into what it is today. So if you look at the different releases that we have, MariaDB 10.0 is the release which is publicly available today and used very widely across the world. And we're now finalizing MariaDB 10.1. It's in beta, but should be available very shortly. And we have a number of different organizations that have contributed code to each of these releases. And I'll just go through a few of them to give you a flavor of how diverse the contributors are and also how diverse the reasons for them contributing can be. So if we start off with TaoBao. TaoBao is the Chinese equivalent to Amazon, a very large e-commerce site in China and spreading more actively globally as well. They contributed multi-source replication into MariaDB 10.0. And from their point of view, it's a way to get a broader interaction with our engineering team to deploy it and for us to also provide maintenance and QA and patches back to that code. So the interaction is fruitful for both organizations. If we take a different example, a Japanese startup company called Spiral Arms. Many of you may know this company has often been at this event as well previously. So we have a sharding solution called Spider in MariaDB 10. And it's contributed by a very small team working on quite a sophisticated sharding solution. But with a small team, you have less access to QA, you have less access to the market. So by getting Spider integrated into MariaDB 10, Spiral Arms has a much broader distribution for their technology, and they have many more users that are feeding back comments and using the product, and hence it's evolving more quickly. So that interaction allows for getting a broader reach for your technology much more quickly. Another example, Fusion.io, or SanDisk as the new company is now called. We worked together with them already a year ago in order to improve the performance of their SSD storage. And using the collaboration with MariaDB, we've optimized the software so that you can get improved speed, you can get improved performance, and actually the lifetime of the storage itself can be substantially extended. Now, beyond the technical collaboration of integrating this into MariaDB 10, it also allows us to do business together. So turns out that we're working with many similar customers that are pushing the performance of web-type environments to the extreme. So many of the web-scale companies use Fusion.io as well. And it's at that extreme level where the performance really matters. So reaching out together, we can not only improve the products and the code, but we can also address common customers quite effectively. If we take another different example, again, a hardware vendor, but IBM. So you may all have heard that IBM sold their x86 server business to Lenovo last year. And since then, they've been repositioning the power server much more for data centers and for cloud. And in doing that, they realized the role that Linux plays in those environments and the LAMP stack. So we've been working with IBM for the last year to optimize MariaDB on the Power 8 server, giving performance which is better than the equivalent Intel x86 architecture. And that's allowing, together with many of the other partners in the broader Power ecosystem, IBM to actually expand their business to reposition the Power system completely. And they've actually worked together with a number of the other, both Linux providers, PHP, and server providers, and many application environments also to drive this into the marketplace. So it's an interesting way of, again, collaborating with a different type of company for mutual benefit, both on the technology side and the business side. Again, a very different type of example. Olivier Bertrand is a former IBM employee. I think he spent several decades working at IBM. He's over 80 years old. He's retired. And since retiring, he started coding all kinds of different projects. And an interesting one was the Connect storage engine, which is now integrated into MariaDB 10. It's a really powerful tool for integrating and federating data from lots of different environments. And here's a person who really didn't know open source software at all. He's worked his whole life on software, but in a proprietary environment. He got familiar to open source into MariaDB thanks to the collaboration that we've had. And since then, this has allowed his code to be used by a lot of different people. So he's getting more feedback, more interaction, and a project that would hardly have been heard of by a lot of people is now widely used and is evolving towards something which can also become an enterprise-grade quality. It's obviously a project developed by one person, but now there's a much broader community working on it together with him. If we take another example, Galera cluster, all of you know about this. We've been working with Codership for a long time, and it has now become an integral part of MariaDB 10.1. So in 10.0, we still had two different binaries, one with Galera cluster and one without, and we decided in MariaDB 10.1 that it's actually going to be integrated, so you can then decide when you install MariaDB whether or not you want to activate Galera. So by integrating it in fully, we've been able to, again, give broader access for Codership to a bigger market through all the downloads. MariaDB is now in all the Linux distributions, and we're default now in all the Red Hat and SUSE distributions. So that's given Galera a much wider base of downloads and of users. And we've been working closely with Codership now for several years. And we're also selling the solution together with them. And Google is another partner that we've been working with for some time, and we're very excited in MariaDB 10.1 to include an encryption functionality from Google. And it's offering both encryption on the table space level and the table level. And given all the issues in security nowadays, encryption is becoming more and more essential for a lot of different organizations. And this allows our two organizations to work together to extend the capabilities that have been originally developed by Google. We will now be deploying it to different types of customers, which will bring new functionalities and capabilities that hopefully will also benefit Google over time. If we go forward then, WebScale SQL. As Stefan mentioned, we've been working together with the WebScale SQL team and with the various contributors to WebScale SQL for some years, or for the last year. I mean, we actually worked together with them before WebScale SQL even was announced. And what we've taken from the WebScale SQL work are a number of InnoDB improvements. And I think the whole idea with the WebScale SQL project is that organizations can take either the whole of that work or pieces of it and reuse those and then contribute back. And that's exactly what we've been doing. We've also been working with Percona for some time, and it's interesting to see the interaction here. Thread pool was something which originally came from MariaDB. Percona took it and improved on it, and we've taken the improvements that Percona took and worked further to improve them even further in the next version of MariaDB. And that's, in my mind, the best sort of innovation you can have, where it really is collaborative and you're sharing the work of others and taking it forward. We're very excited by the announcement yesterday about TokuDB and Percona. We've been working with both before, and we believe that collaboration is going to go forward in the future. TokuDB is also integrated into MariaDB, and we're really hoping that that can become a much more widely used storage engine going forward. And I think the other important point here is, of course, MariaDB is a fork of MySQL. So needless to say, there's a lot of MySQL code in MariaDB. Whether Oracle would look at that as a contribution to MariaDB or not, maybe can be discussed. But the spirit should be one of exchange going both ways. And as Stefan said just now, we are really looking forward to finding a contribution agreement with Oracle that will allow us also to push the work that we've done up into the upstream MySQL. And a lot of the pieces that have come from MySQL are pieces that we reuse in MariaDB. And hopefully we can really be leveraging both or all of these different engineering organizations more efficiently in the future by allowing for a sort of multi-directional sharing of code. So I guess the other way to look at this is that there's an exchange happening between an enterprise, in this case MariaDB Corporation, and a community. That exchange is on the level of code. So we're taking code from the community, and the community is reinforcing what we have in MariaDB. So there's more innovation happening in MariaDB. We can build more interoperability with other products because we can leverage the community, and we can also bring more innovation through that collaboration. But likewise, you can look at it on the code level. We have an engineering team in the company that's developing MariaDB, and we're pushing that code out, and the community is leveraging that in other environments. You can also look at it on a product level. So we have MariaDB Server, which is the community version of MariaDB. We have MariaDB Enterprise, which is leveraging the server in itself, but also building on top of it a lot of other capabilities. MariaDB Enterprise is fully open source. All the source code is available, but we are packaging binaries that address that original problem on that subway map, where you have all these users that have all this amazing code out there, all these amazing products, where we're packaging what we feel our customers can most benefit from. And let's remember that this room is filled with a lot of experts in databases, but out there, we're working with a number of users in thousands of different organizations that are struggling to deal with fairly complex data management issues. And we feel our job is to make sure that we take the best innovation from the community and we package that into an offering which is easy to use, which has the best components of both open source code and a number of partner products that we package in there, as well as packaging in the services that you need, and then other capabilities that we can bring to that overall setup. So within MariaDB Enterprise, we're really focusing on improved scalability, reliability, security, and just simplifying a lot of the risk and the cost and the complexities that's out there. So what we propose with MariaDB Enterprise are performance-optimized binaries. Again, as you know, MySQL, MariaDB, Percona Server all come with a number of different configuration possibilities. And for the vast majority of users, it's quite overwhelming to decide which ones are the best ones. So we're helping that by making sure our binaries can really be optimized to bring the maximum performance. We also have a notification service, which means that you can more easily choose the versions that you need to install. If there are new patches or upgrades coming, you'll be notified of which ones are most relevant given your configuration. And then we have a number of productivity tools that will make life easier for the user. So just some examples of what the partners, and this is collaboration now, I guess more in a sort of ecosystem level. So Several Nines is a company we've been working with almost since even SkySQL and MariaDB were founded. And for our MariaDB Enterprise Cluster offering, we include cluster control by Several Nines, which is a great tool for managing the extreme complex clusters that you can have with Galera and how you can deploy those more easily. And we're extending that capability to a broader market together with Several Nines. We're also working with Webyog that provides a monitoring tool that's probably the most widely used in this market. All our customers for the MariaDB Enterprise subscription get a Moniog monitoring solution included in the package, and it works well both with on-prem and cloud solutions. And so those are some examples of what we're doing with these partners. If you look at the interoperability axis, which is another important one that I mentioned in the beginning, the interaction between on-prem and cloud is becoming more and more important. So we're also collaborating with Amazon and the Aurora announcement that they're just bringing to market shortly to enable more seamless interplay, again, between on-prem and cloud, between MariaDB, Aurora, and MySQL. So our connectors are tested and validated with Aurora, and we're working on a number of other exciting initiatives together with Amazon to further enable that innovation, the collaboration, and the interoperability between these different domains. Hopefully most of you have heard of MaxScale, which is a database proxy that we launched earlier this year, and it's being integrated into MariaDB Enterprise. It's like an abstraction layer between the database and the application. And the reason we're bringing this to market is, again, to help simplify the life for the user. Application developers are always a bit scared when it comes to dealing with complex databases, and using MaxScale, you can actually make life a lot easier. You can provide capabilities which would be much harder to use if they had to be implemented in the application itself. So, for example, we have sharding solutions, we have a bin log router, we have a notification service for MaxScale, and we'll be introducing a range of other initiatives. And MaxScale, again, like all the other projects we have, is open source software. We already have tens of companies using it in production. We've had exciting contributions coming from different organizations. And what we're doing is working closely with a few customers that we consider lead customers in deploying MaxScale to ensure that the innovations that we bring actually can really be optimized for different customer use cases. So Booking.com have been working on the MaxScale even before it was launched, specifically from a bin log server point of view. And Booking.com, as you know, is the largest hotel reservation site, so they have millions of customers, very complex operations, and a very complex MySQL and MariaDB deployment as well. And they've been using MaxScale now to really bring improved performance, and I think there's a presentation separately at the event about how that's happening. Another different customer that we're working with is LeadDesk. This is a call center software company that is also challenged with huge scaling issues. And they're using a schema-based sharding solution that's included in MaxScale to basically scale and offer sharding, and in a way which is much easier from their application point of view, because the application only sees one database server, whereas you can actually have several shards underneath. So that hiding a lot of the complexity for the user, again, allowing regular DBAs to run with much more ease and comfort, actually a very complicated database setup using MaxScale. So there's a number of examples here. We have other customers that we're working with globally. many large organizations, and each of them have different challenges. Each of them is trying to get the most value out of the data that they generate and they have access to package that in an effective way. And we believe, our mission really is to take a lot of the innovation that's in the community, happening in the hundreds of different companies that are represented here, package that into solutions that can be offered to the marketplace to make life easier for these users. And that way, bring many of these great innovations in a digestible form to the customers. So I think in recognition of some of the work that we've done, we were really happy last year to have Gartner map us in the Leaders Quadrant for their latest Magic Quadrant of Operational Database Management Systems. And this is also, I think, testimony to a lot of the work that's been done in MySQL over the last 20 years. Startups don't just jump into the Leaders Quadrant in 3-4 years. It takes, especially in database space, it takes a longer time to get there. I think it's a bit unfair that Oracle is sort of mapped up there all as one company. There's so many products in there, and I think if MySQL were mapped separately, it would surely score really high. Well, MariaDB is there, and just Gartner's feedback that came from the customer survey was that the strengths that MariaDB has are in functionality, in the value for money, in the community and the partners. So again, playing back to a lot of what we discussed earlier about contributions and collaboration. If it weren't for that collaboration, we would not be able to have come into that sort of ranking, and a lot of our customers would not be getting the stable product and the innovation that they're getting from MariaDB today. So just wrapping up, again, there's this virtuous relationship between the company, between the community, allowing us to access a lot of the innovation and contribute back, both to the individuals that are out there, individuals like Olivier, Bertrand, who are developing a storage engine, or to large organizations like Facebook or Google or Percona or Oracle. And working together, we can bring a much richer experience to the users in the marketplace. So that's what I believe and what we believe is the essence of open source, bringing that innovation, allowing for interoperability that makes life simpler rather than more complex by using collaboration effectively. So how to contribute to MariaDB? You have probably heard of MariaDB Foundation. So that's set up as a vehicle for collaborating with the various contributors. We have a very active dialogue on IRC, #Maria. We have a knowledge base on MariaDB.com where a lot of articles explain usage of these different services. There are discussion groups, very active space on GitHub. We have an ambassador program with people both on a local level around the world, enabling events, and then also writing about what's going on, and then, of course, exchanges on Twitter and Facebook. And given that you're all here at this event today, there are a lot of presentations. I didn't want to list them all because I probably have missed some. Some of them explicitly addressing MariaDB, some of them implicitly contributing to MariaDB. So do make the most of what's available. Like everybody previously, I would really like to thank Percona for a great event, and importantly, thank the whole community for making all this possible. Thanks.